You are listening to the Superpower Radio Show with your host, Brenda Major.
Mia Dawson.
And again, we are so excited, really excited, because Mia, this is the first show of our second year. Woo-hoo!
Yay.
Yeah, that year just really went by so quickly, didn't it?
So quickly. Yes.
Yeah. And this is our Halloween show. So this is our second Halloween show, actually.
It actually is. Yeah.
And so, whether you participate in Halloween festivities or not, I mean, face it, we can't avoid them. It's everywhere. It's been in the stores all over the place. People's homes are decorated. We mentioned last year how they go, Halloween crazy in my neighborhood. So everything is glowing and, 12 feet tall. And I have to remember that, if I'm running in the morning, I was like, oh, yeah, that's just a skeleton. Don't freak out. And so we know if it affects just, the average Joe, it's probably going to affect kids and particularly, our superpower kids. So we know that, there are parents and caregivers who may need to prepare their kids, explain this to their kids, calm their kids, soothe their kids, because I think also Halloween is just a time when it gives people an excuse to go crazy.
Yeah. Yes, most
So
definitely.
how is Neo dealing this year with all of this Halloween stuff that's going on?
He's a lot better than he was when we talked about it last year. He's a lot better. He isn't he hasn't talked about it too much, but his temperament is better. So I should say that. He's kind of not, he see pumpkins or he sees skeletons. There's only a couple people in our neighborhood this year that really, which was odd because usually they have more, but it was only a couple people and he kind of looked at it, but it wasn't, he seemed more bothered last year and he's not this year.
Okay. So is it because are you guys doing anything different with him or?
I just think he's getting older and mature and he's kind of like, oh, okay, this is what this is. This comes around every year. He knows it. I think he knows what to kind of expect a little bit. So I just think it's more of a maturity to me because we haven't changed anything.
I noticed he was helping me out the other day at the community center. And we were getting ready. We're going to be reading a story to the kids called, Room on the Broom. And of course, it's a Halloween story. There's a witch. And we ordered this huge witch's hat that came in from Amazon and I had to stuff it. And he was looking at it. He's like, that's a big hat. It's like, yeah. And the more I put in it, he's like, oh, that's a witch's hat. Are you going to put that on? I said, yeah. I said, but I'm not going to turn into a witch. I'm just doing this for the story. And he said, no, I know you're not a witch. So he helped me, put the thing together. And then he said, well, what's the story? So I said, well, come up to my office. We'll read the story. So he wasn't scared. We read the story and, Neo gets so into it that halfway through he noticed there's a pattern in certain lines. And so he started saying it even before I read it. And I was like, yep, you got it. You got it. So,
yes.
I mean, I could definitely tell the difference because, a few years ago, if I'd put that witch's head on, he'd have been running down the hallway.
Running down the hallway. He wouldn't have been bothered with it. Running down the hall. Yep, most definitely.
Now, I remember even was it last year when he was supposed to do the music recital and you told that story last year. He went into the ladies' restroom and she had skeletons
hanging from the back. Yes. For the recital, he was like, okay, we're not doing none of this. Well, this year, I didn't see the skeleton because I went in for he had a piano lesson and I didn't see it, but it is very decorated though. It's extremely decorated. All that. He kind of looked and but he didn't seem bothered. He didn't seem as bothered as he did last year. And then they're having a Halloween recital.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually was just like, didn't even bring it up. I'm like, he's not going, so we're not even going to talk about this. And then he came to us and he said, well, my recital's next. It's actually this Sunday. And
Oh
I was
wow.
like, what recital? And he was like, my recital's Sunday. And I was like, you're not, what are you talking about? He said, no, I'm going to do it. He said, I can do it. I got my song. I know what I said, oh, so he's got it. And we're going to do it on Sunday. So he kind of,
Wow.
I didn't even bring it up. I kind of just was like, I was like, he's not doing it. He's not doing it. So I didn't. So he said, you know, my recital's on Sunday. I said, what? So, um, definitely maturity, definitely kind of on his own. We didn't really, because we didn't really, I guess we didn't really, especially for me, because we don't celebrate it anyway, which we're going to talk about later
Okay.
on the show.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
didn't have, it wasn't something. Now, if it would have been Christmas, I would have been pushing the issue. Like, you gotta
Because
do
that's your holiday. Yeah.
holiday. You're gonna do it because but I didn't. I was like, okay, you don't want to do it. But yeah, he told us he wanted to do it. And he's like, it's on Sunday. You guys got to be there. So
Oh wow.
he completely has
Wow.
just gotten, and he was not scared to come in. It was like a total maturity. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Completely different from
So
last
you mentioned this. I know your family had made the choice long ago not to celebrate
year.
Halloween,
Yes.
but do you do any other like alternative thing on Halloween, or how do your kids deal with it?
We
I mean,
don't really, at the community center my parents own, if they have something, they participate in that. We don't stop that part of it.
okay.
Um, so if they want to participate, Neo doesn't, his godfather took him last year because he said something. Now he did say something about that. He says, I'm not going with Goddaddy and putting no mask on. I don't want to do so he didn't because he
Oh,
actually
so
put a
they
mask
actually
on.
trick
So
or
he
treated.
the
Okay.
trick or treat. And so he had a flash about that. He said he didn't want to do that because he doesn't like stuff on his face.
Okay.
So he did mention that, but Isaiah, the youngest one, he wants to do everything, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of did not stop that. Stefan said, I didn't get to really enjoy because there was so many kids in his family. He didn't really get to enjoy the way he wanted to because he's the seventh of eight kids. So we don't stop that, but it's just something I don't think about because we never celebrated it at our house. If that makes sense. I kind of don't make
Okay.
it a conscious
Okay.
effort to even do anything because we don't, but I don't stop them.
Okay.
If they want to go, if they want to do certain things, I don't do that.
Okay. So now is there any pressure from, kids trick or treating at your house? I mean, do you have to turn the lights out or?
I turn the lights out. I don't buy no candy. I did. So, I sub. So I did buy candy for like my students. They have candy. Like I've been buying candy for them all month. I've
Okay.
done that. So I try to find other ways to incorporate in because I don't want to throw my beliefs on anybody else. Because
Mm-hmm.
and my
Mm-hmm.
parents had it. And listeners, if you guys are new this year, it was because in our town that I grew up in, a man killed two kids on Halloween. And so the whole
Mm.
town kind of shut Halloween down. And I even talked to some friends. I'm in a group chat and they still, you can kind of, they don't celebrate it because it's just
Wow.
that the whole town kind of it put a dark cloud and they just stopped
Mm.
celebrating. So, um, and that man ended up becoming a serial killer later
Oh
on.
my
So,
goodness.
I mean, we would do stuff at church a little bit, but they never made an emphasis on it anymore.
Okay.
So I know Neo does this too. So he knows because he loves Family Matters, his favorite show,
Oh yeah.
old school Family Matters. And then I seen him; he'll watch all the Halloween episodes.
Oh,
So he's doing that.
okay.
And there's a couple other shows that he likes. I can't remember the other show. Um, he likes Different World. He likes the Cosby Show. But any of his
Mhm.
older shows, he'll wait till Halloween. So I heard him downstairs earlier. He's
Mhm.
watching the Halloween versions.
Okay.
So that's how he kind of gets into it.
Okay. So he's okay because he was very quick to tell me when he saw that the witch's hat and everything, he said, Halloween is the 31st, Miss Bunny. Halloween is the 31st. I said, I know, we're just doing this ahead of time just to get the kids
Oh
ready. And he
yeah,
said,
and
well, you
honey,
have to
when
do
they
it on
done,
Halloween.
yes, and honey, when it's done, he wants it all gone. He'll come
Mm.
by. He's like, Mom, why they don't have it? It's November 4th. And why don't they have it down? So you're right.
Yeah, he was very specific. He was, wanted me to know, look, he's like, Halloween is October 31st. It's October 31st. And he's like, it's just October 18th. I said, I know, I get it. I get it. He said,
Oh,
you're gonna have to do it on the 31st too. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do it twice, but I get it. I get it. So I know you did a little bit of research and came up with some tips for families who do participate in Halloween and for
yeah.
some of their super kids. So, what are some ways that maybe they can enjoy the holiday without being too
Well,
traumatized?
I really liked one of these because this is kind of stuff that Neo like definitely have a calendar so
Hmm.
that they can kind of see and prepare. And my boy loves calendars, and he
Oh
looks
yeah.
fun calendars everywhere he goes. And he go tell people their life. And we still have old school calendars because of him. I have my calendar in our kitchen
Okay.
because of him, so he can see everything.
Yeah.
So, if you get a calendar that can be more familiar with the holiday for kiddos,
Hmm.
kind of like he said, it's on the 31st, and kind of how
Right.
long it's going to be, they're going to be going with that. Another thing they said was to create a personal story. So, a
Hmm.
personalized story kind of gives a little bit of background to kind of help the kids. Maybe you have your own personal story that you did when you were in Halloween, or like Neo seeing stories from the different TV shows and creating those. That
Yeah.
can make them feel more comfortable also. And I really like that. I really liked them having their kind of own,
Hmm.
having them have their own story in their own space that they can relate to.
Yeah.
So I really liked it. And I think it was one more.
I think
I'm
you were,
looking at
yeah.
uh, identifying your own family goals, which is what we haven't told them, because we're not going to tell them that until they're older. We haven't told them about why we don't celebrate. So we kind of
Hmm.
just try to create some type of family tradition for
Okay.
alternative, I should say, because we don't actually celebrate. So some type of alternative. But that can be something for kiddos who do. What do you guys do? Do you guys carve pumpkins? Do you trick or treat? Do
Hmm.
you go to, do you have, we have some friends that they have a Halloween party maybe every year. So what do
Okay.
you do as a tradition?
Hmm.
So those three things were really, I thought those were pretty neat, pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. We have always celebrated Halloween. 8 kids in
Yes.
our family. I had 7 siblings. So I think I mentioned last year that there was the clown costume that somebody made it for our family, and
You
it just
said
got
that.
passed
Yes,
down from person to person. And I just wanted Halloween to hurry up for me to be big enough to wear the clown costume. So
right.
yeah,
Right.
so that was fun. But we also were my parents were really supportive of us doing alternative things for Halloween, like trick or treat for UNICEF, and that's
Yes,
something
you
that
said
I
that.
did.
You did say that.
Yeah,
You did
so
say
um, and then as I was doing some research
that.
for our show today,
Hmm.
I came across some things, and I feel like I should have known this stuff. Like there's a Blue Buckets initiative. It's Blue Buckets for Halloween, and
Okay.
it started now about 5 years ago. There was a mom,
Okay.
Alicia Plummer, and
Hmm.
she had a son who was 21 at the time. He was
Okay.
a super kid, and
Okay.
he loves Halloween, and he
Okay.
really wanted to continue trick or treating. And I
Wow.
think she felt that, okay, people might not understand why this 21
Grown
year
man
old,
is coming to my door. Yeah.
yeah. And, so what she did was she got a blue bucket, for him to put the candy in, and she wrote
Okay.
a message on it, and she said, um, my son BJ is autistic.
Okay.
He is 21, but he still loves trick or treating.
Mm.
So please, let's keep the spirit of Halloween, in his heart. So when you see his blue bucket, just please give him some treats. And he, I believe, was also nonverbal. So she said, he won't be
Oh.
able to say it, but happy Halloween. So she had that note on the bucket.
Wow.
And apparently, a lot of people read it, understood it, posted it, and it became really popular. So now, like all over the country, there's this blue bucket initiative. So I said,
That
okay,
is so cool.
I really thought that was a cool idea. And so I went on Amazon and I thought, okay, well, how do I let people know that I get it? And
Hmm.
I don't want people to feel like they can't bring their super kid to the house, or that I'm going to stare at them if they don't say trick or treat if they're nonverbal.
That's true. That's true.
So, of course, now it's so popular that Amazon actually has signs that you can post in your yard that say
Oh,
this house supports the Blue Bucket Initiative, and so
wow.
then people will know it's okay for
It's
your
okay for you to,
yeah,
oh,
your
wow.
kids,
That
your
is
adults,
amazing.
anybody who wants to come trick or treating to come on by. So
That's amazing.
so I got the sign and I'm going to stick it in the yard and I'm going to be ready for whoever comes.
Whoever
Um,
comes.
and then I also found something called the Teal Pumpkin Initiative. Again, I'd
Okay.
never heard of that either.
No, I
But,
didn't either. No, I have no.
and I've thought about it, and you hear all the time about kids who have like certain allergies, food allergies.
Oh yeah. We were gonna have to do a whole show on
And
that, but yes, you know what I experienced. Yeah.
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 So, like nut allergies. And we know that
Yeah.
kids with superpowers often do have food allergies
They
and
sure do.
preferences, they
Yep. Their
different
palates are different. Yeah.
textures, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so this Teal Pumpkin Initiative,
Mm-hmm.
basically you provide alternate things for treats for kids. So it's not candy. So you put those treats, actually you're supposed to set a teal pumpkin outside of your house to let people
What?
know, okay, this is a place where my kid with food allergies can come and get some treats that they don't have to worry about. No nuts or
Wow.
anything. So, of course, went back on Amazon and I said,
Okay.
okay, what's up with these teal pumpkins? So they got the teal pumpkins and they have this little toys. So some of them,
Yeah, I
uh,
was gonna ask you what's the treats then, because that would be hard
yeah.
to try to choose. So what kind of treats do they have?
Oh, there's tons of them. Those little stress balls that people use?
Yes.
They have
Yes.
some of those in the shapes of little ghosts
Ah,
and goblins, and they're little for little people's hands. Um,
okay.
then I found some glow in the dark stuff, but wasn't highly rated, so I went with the LED light stuff. So
Okay.
remember when fidget spinners were a big thing?
Yes.
So
Yes.
now
Yes. Yes.
they have fidget spinner bracelets that light up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I got
Okay.
some of those and I got these rings that also light up. You just,
Okay.
stick them on your fingers and they're like little ghosts and whatnot. So now my
Wow.
mission is to make sure that kids know so they can come get this stuff. So I'm
Okay.
stuck with, so I'm like, okay, do you want candy? Do you want the ring? Do you want the
Do
fidget
you
spinner? I'm going to put it out on the neighborhood website that, this is a traditional Halloween and a teal and a blue bucket
and a
Halloween
blue bucket?
house.
That's really cool, Brenda. That
So
is really, really cool.
and I think it's so important because there are parents who have to deal with those issues that other folks don't even think about. You know, the poor kid who has nut allergies, you can't really go up to somebody's house, they hand you a Snickers and you go, oh, because you can't eat it. So I think this is just a really good way of people
Beautiful. It was, oh, a
um
beautiful idea.
yeah,
Oh my
being
gosh, such a beautiful idea.
sensitive to making sure that Halloween can be fun,
Yeah,
basically for everybody.
yeah, yeah. And see,
Absolutely.
my kids too, I think about my kids too. They don't eat a lot of candy. So Neo likes, his favorite is Reese's. He loves Reese cups. And they do
Okay.
like suckers, but because I know a few years they've been to certain things and they come home with all this candy and they don't eat it, nor do they. It's a couple things they can't even have. So you're right. So now I'm like, with all this candy, which I usually take it to my students so they can eat it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
you're right. What do I do with all this? And they're like, well, we got all this, but I can't really enjoy it. So that's
Yeah.
very beautiful that they've given them other options. That's really cool. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
And I know that, you know, some people, even in my neighborhood, still,
Hmm.
you go trick or treating and they give you a toothbrush and a little thing of toothpaste. And they're like, what is this? Some people give fruit. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. And
Yes. I've heard,
yeah.
yes, fruits. Yes. Oh, my son.
And
Yeah.
I know that there are some people who will give like caramel apples or,
Love those. I
I
love
do
those too.
too. That's
I
just a
love
sign
those.
of fall to me, or the
Yes.
popcorn balls. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
so there's a lot of things that people can do.
Hmm.
But I think the main thing is that we want kids to have fun,
Yeah.
but we don't want them to be traumatized.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
You're
we
absolutely right.
definitely don't
Yeah.
want them to be traumatized. And when you were talking about what happened in Decatur a few years ago,
Hmm.
now it's just clicking in my mind why people trick or treat the way they do in Decatur. Um, in my neighborhood, the kids don't really walk from house to house. They are driven. So their parents will drive, and if you're trying to get home to get to your house to, be ready for trick-or-treaters, you got to find an alternative route because they're like this caravan of cars, and they will just like drive a few feet and the kids will get out and they'll go to two houses and they'll come back and then they'll drive a few more feet and they'll get out, and it's just, it's very different. When we were kids, our parents weren't
Right.
anywhere around. We put on our costumes. Now my parents made us, they paired us up, so you always had your partner who was
Right.
going to, and you got to hold hands with your older sister, which I really hated,
Right.
but I get it. I get it.
Right. Right.
It's so easy for kids to, to get distracted and go
Yes.
off in different directions. And like you said, something horrible, and that is definitely horrible. So
Yes.
I
It
get
changed it
why.
changed the dynamic. It completely changed
Yeah.
because I think I was 4 or 5, and I'll
Hmm.
be 44 in December. So you're right. It kind of changed. And by
Wow.
that time, when we were younger, we just kind of went, they had stuff at church or you had them
Mm.
in places. You just didn't even trick or treat until you kind of got over. Yeah. So yeah, but I'm loving that they're finding other ways because like you said, you want the
Hmm.
kids to have fun and have
That's the
some type
bottom
of,
line. Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
trying to be make believe, they're trying to dress up and just for a day. So you want them to have fun for goodness sakes. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I know at the center we are going to do kind of a little bit of Halloween situation.
Mhm.
Um, Kids don't have to dress up, but right now they are making pumpkins and they're making
Okay.
little ghosts and bats, and so we'll be hanging those, and they'll have some treats.
Okay.
And what we're encouraging the parents to do is, just let that be their Halloween.
Their
So when you
Halloween.
come
Yeah.
pick them up, they will already have their bag of goodies and they'll have
Yes.
been fed, and they'll have all of that experience.
You
So
don't have
parents
to
can then
worry
just
about
go
trying to
home.
go trick or treat. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. But and this
Yeah.
was particularly, thanks for reminding me, particularly because of what happened in
Yes.
Decatur.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's still a sore. Yeah. People still remember. Very much.
exactly.
Very much.
So when it comes to, telling kids about Halloween, like you said, you're not really going to tell your kids about that until
Yeah.
they're older.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, what is your advice to parents? Because sometimes parents are big kids themselves, and
Yes.
they want to tell the kids these spooky stories.
Yes.
How do you gauge whether your kid can even handle something like that?
I think that is a very, very good point. Cause like, Isaiah is we know Isaiah is my
Hmm.
youngest son, listeners, extremely highly intelligent. But I also think he can't handle that. I am a crime story girl. I love scary
Mm-hmm.
movies. And I have he's even said to me, Mom, I don't think I want to watch it. I'm going to have dreams.
Mm.
So, I think we need to stay away from the spooky, spooky stuff. Now, and I know certain people, and I know especially, with churches, they're like demonic and all. That's a different show. That's a different story. So that's
Mm-hmm,
why
mm-hmm.
I'm saying, okay, that could be the case where it is demonic and there's wrong. Let's deal with just the make believe part of it, that they want to dress up, that they
Yeah,
kind of
like a
want to,
unicorn or a
like
policeman
a
or something.
policeman, or I know
Yeah,
Nehemiah was a policeman one year. So I would tell parents, stay with that portion of it. And when they're ready, okay, maybe you do want to talk about that there's a deeper meaning or what have you. Because and I believe, and there is, and I can see both sides of that. But
mm-hmm.
I think for this time right now with the kids, no, just let them have fun. It's a free day for them to get candy, because they probably don't get candy every day.
Right,
It's
right.
a time for them to kind of make believe. And on the spiritual side, if you want to say, they have make believe costumes of making up. I had friends that made up, they were made like one of the disciples. They
Mm-hmm,
were
mm-hmm.
like David and Goliath. So I know churches even have found ways to kind of incorporate it so that the kids can still have fun.
Yeah.
It's not like you just said, it's not spooky or demonic,
Mm-hmm.
but they're kind of enjoying it in the make believe part of it too.
Yeah, you get to be a Bible character and still
Be a
have some
Bible character,
sweets, still have
yes. So
fun.
you can be it
Yeah,
on alternative for both ends, but I don't think we need to deal with the spooky and the scary. Don't deal with that
right,
part yet. Let's talk
right.
about this as a day to have fun, as a day to make believe.
Yeah,
That's
because
what I would tell any parent.
that's great advice. I mean, because face it, these days you have to shield your kids even from the news
Yes.
and
Yes.
even from
You
what
sure
they
do.
hear at school. You know,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
scary.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes.
So
So
yeah,
if you can
adding
give them
on the
fun, man,
extra.
yeah, let them enjoy. You can create that to make it where it's fun and not spooky and scary, and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that.
Yeah, and I was so impressed with one of the kids at the center. She came in my room and I had this little jack-o'-lantern air freshener, and she
Okay.
looked at that and she said, "When are you going to decorate your classroom for Halloween?" And I thought I wasn't gonna decorate.
Uh,
And then she said, "Well, we need to decorate." And she's looking around. We need to decorate the whole building. I said, well, okay, I guess we can make some pumpkins and we can make some little ghosts and so it was actually the kids' idea to even do
to
that.
even do, okay. Okay.
And that
Yeah.
way I think it takes the scariness out of it if it's
Yes.
their idea.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Well, you know what time it is?
Oh
We
my
know it is time to go, but you can catch us on our YouTube channel,
God.
Superpower Radio Show, on our website, which is getting a new facelift soon.
It's
It's
getting a facelift. I'm so excited. I've been seeing it. I'm just,
yeah. So
you guys are gonna love it.
www.inclusivity.com. And of course, you can catch us here on iHeartRadio. And so we appreciate your support.
Yes, we do.
And we are signing off, but we'll be back.
Yes, we will. Bye,
All
guys.
right.
Happy Halloween.